allow him to work through you. Notice what I said. Say with you. Work with God. All my papers. Work with the state of North Carolina for the people of North Carolina. We don't work with God. He's not our co-pilot. Know about you. But if God's in the house, I want him to try whatever it's on.
Man, that is a man. That is a man. Give thanks to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Are there reporters in this room somewhere? I can't see through the light. It's the mainstream media here. If you're here, I want you to hear this. Hear me. I don't care what you say about me. I don't care what you do in your newsroom. I don't care about your plans and your schemes to bring this nation down with your Democratic friends. Why? Because Jesus Christ is still on the throne.
You're not supposed to say that, brother. You're not supposed to say that, brother.
You make news cameras and your satellites and your 24-hour news. But Jesus Christ holds the world in his hands. And he holds me in it as well. And what he has for me, you cannot keep from coming true. It may not be the governor's mansion. It may not be any political thing, but you will not stop Jesus Christ. What will in my life. So I do not fear you.
That's right.
Write your stories, tell your lies, tell your half-truths. But Christ is still on the throne. And because he lives in my heart, and I live for him, I know whatever I need to do on this earth for him, it will get done. So we give him thanks first and foremost. Guys, all these other guys that come out here and talk to you about the issues, we know the issues. The wide open border, crime on the street, fentanyl killing our children, pornography in our schools. We know about the issues, the failing economy, the precarious place the United States finds itself in on the world stage with its enemies. The horrible, absolutely dreadful administration that is currently leading our nation right now. It is mind-numbing to think that the most energetic, the greatest nation on earth, people seek to come to for that vaunted thing that we have, the freedom and energy and intelligence that we have in this country. And all 350 million people are being led by somebody who just barely knows that they're here on earth. We know what the issues are. But, I didn't really come here to go into details about the issues. What I really came here to do, I came here to get something started.
Go ahead, get it started, brother.
See, because we got a problem in this country. We got a bunch of clapper-trap people that sit behind news media desks and want to talk about fake trials for President Trump.
Go ahead, bro.
Turn the television on, they talk about first one actor and then another actor, talking about all manners of foolishness. Talking about MAGA Republicans being the most dangerous people on earth. I don't know. I didn't see any MAGA Republicans on 9/11 blowing up buildings in airplanes.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
I don't think any MAGA Republicans were over in Israel murdering people.
Go ahead, brother.
And I don't think a MAGA Republican gave them the money to be able to do it.
Go ahead, bro. As long as they say we're gonna have a good time, we're gonna give you this, and we're gonna give you that, and we're gonna put some rappers in front of you and some singers in front of you and some actors in front of you, because we already know that entertainment rules your life. Entertainment rules your being, your entire being. So that's all we're gonna place in front of you. Somebody that can continue to move those puppet strings the way that we want to move. That's it. But this brother is breaking it down to you, who the actual enemy is. Let's go, man.
See, we got folks in this country that don't want to talk about the substantive issues that all of us face.
Go ahead.
The things that we just talked about, that wide open border, the precarious place we find ourselves with safety and security in the world, on the world stage.
What's up, Jim?
They don't want to talk about your pocketbook. They don't want to talk about the fact that your children are in schools where we spend millions upon millions upon millions of dollars for those schools, and the children can't read on the grade level.
At all.
They don't want to talk about that.
At all. At all.
They don't want to talk about the fact that every single solitary policy that they propose and then pass yields horrible results. They don't want to talk about it.
Go ahead.
Why? Because it proves an essential truth. It proves an essential truth. What is that truth? The simple truth of the matter is this. They call us the right. We sit on the right. And we not only get called the right and call ourselves the right and sit on the right, we are right.
Go ahead. You better shut up and speak, brother. You better shut up and preach. Huh? You better shut up and preach.
Every single solitary issue.
Go ahead, bro.
When we say shut that border down and deport those who are dangerous to our country, we are right.
That's right. That's right.
When we say children should not be sexualized, we are right in this nation.
All right. I'm probably not going to get a lot of people on right now, but I did. I went through today the ponderous filing against John Berta and George Palacaris, and we can start out on some other things, but my reaction to it is, first and foremost, whoever's out there waiting on a resolution, listening to the people on Twitter telling you not to move to NextBridge, the real shares, I hope you have a lot of money, and I hope you have a lot of patience, and I sure hope you're right. I hope those people are there for you when inevitably MMTLP becomes simply a worthless book entry in your accounts. Now, it may pay off in lawsuits or in hearings or Congress and all that. I'm sure that our work. I listened to Junk Savvy this morning again, and she not only has a well-informed community, hardworking, but I am personally amazed at her grasp for a young woman, her grasp of everything. I mean, she perceives things, understands things, and you know, in that thing, it's probably out of style now. She gets it. I probably don't use that anymore, but she gets it. So I try to learn there because you can learn a lot. But the thing that came out, I was reading this out live, and I didn't want to waste time highlighting. But the thing, I'll see if I can find a reference, or maybe I will. I'll just tell you about it right now, and then I'll find it later. But this attorney, Patrick Bennett and Christopher Rogers, clearly are either just out of law school or they're high-paid attorneys paid to dissemble. And this is a good time to remind you that everything I say on my videos is my opinion and my judgment. It's editorial, and if I'm wrong, you know, show me, and I'll apologize if I'm wrong. But if you want real legal interpretation of this or of these two gentlemen, don't get it from me. Get it from, I don't know. Call up an attorney, and see what they can find out. But anyway, one thing that came out in here, I assume it's Patrick wrote this, but he is making such a firm distinction between legacy Torchlight holders and those that came in because of the inducements, I guess, the enticement of John Berta. So the first thing that comes across very clearly is I think they're going to make that argument that the dividend is only to be given to however it's an impossible standard, absolute impossible standard to enforce. And more than that, it's not right or fair, because that means that the rights, the share certificate that an original Torchlight holder like myself, I sold mine. So the person who bought my shares should get it. I wish I'd hung on. I wouldn't. Tell you another one. Somebody mentioned Wolf. I wish I'd hung on to Wolf. I had, at that time, I had, for me, quite a bit of shares. I haven't been able to hang on to all this stuff. But that was like a year ago, right? So it would have been a long wait, but it would have probably been worth it. I just couldn't wait that long. That's life. The other thing that comes through on this, I mean, the guy is repetitive. He's completely illogical. He argues that George and John starting out first, came up with this scheme to defraud you, to defraud investors, and make the stock go up. And then when it went up, they took advantage of doing an at-the-market offering. I wonder if it was with Roth Capital. I'll have to find out. Because it was a pretty sizable offering. For shareholders, 20% of the money to drill wells. So at the one time he's arguing that he's causing a short squeeze or believed one and didn't disclose it. And then at other points saying, and he says, Berta first devised the scheme in response to Torchlight's deteriorating financial condition. Well, of course it's deteriorating. The short sellers, the counterfeiters, destroyed Torchlight. But anyway, that they needed to pay capital obligations, including drilling expenses of oil and gas. So Berta hatched a plan to artificially inflate the price of Torchlight stock and raise capital. Oh my gosh, by selling Torchlight's shares. And then Torchlight asked the board, I'm going back to the back of it. Torchlight asked the board, Berta asked the board of I guess Meta at that point, for an award of $1.5 million. Well, I wish I got that kind of reward. That's a nice payday. But he said, look, I earned it because I took the market cap from 30 million to 1.44 billion. Of course, I was briefly, but he did do that. He did the timing of raising additional equity and the shelf. And they raised, I got to look up this has an approximate number. I think They raised 132 million or something. It's a lot of money. And 20% of that went to what's now NextBridge. So, I mean, we can argue about the amount. I've never had a payday that high. I've had one close, but not that high. But I think it's quite legitimate that he earned it. But they want him to regurgitate that. My guess is this lawsuit will get rejected. It is so poorly written. The reasoning is so circular and basically frivolous. It's a waste of time. I think it's going to be rejected by the court. But if it is not rejected by the court, it's not going to go to discovery. So my guess is Berta will have to give up that money or a part of it. But they want him to be disbarred from ever being on the board of a company or president or CEO and raising money. That's not right. I think they'll come down to where they give up that and he gives up a little money and they go down the road. But this is a complete waste of time. And it's a completely fallacious theory. And it doesn't add to your knowledge at all. What it really adds, bottom line, is that the SEC works on behalf of the criminals. And the only way to prove this out is if Ann Wagner, on her subcommittee, if she pushed for transparency, then you can see it. But until then, they just call us. They call out the CEO, but they don't call out the criminals. They're trained to go after CEOs. These attorneys probably want to punch their ticket and then go get a job at Gibson Dunn. I don't know. I am so disgusted after reading that. I did a couple of videos on it. It makes me sick that the SEC would even file this and that they spent time. And this son of a bitch group of attorneys are probably making more than John Berta. I don't see in here anything that John Berta did wrong. Anything. I don't see anything that George Palikaras did that was wrong. Nothing. So anyway, we can talk about it, but that was my reaction to it. All of a sudden, my eyesight isn't very good. I don't know anything about Rumble. I'll get Ham on. Let me go through the few hellos and questions, and I'll get Ham on and I'll ask him that. David, you're number 1. Andy's number 2. John Platinum is number 3. Hey, Scott, Sideshow, hello 1. Hello again. Hello. Hey, Zizu. Bud Tex. Oh, Wolf. His friend sold Wolf, but he's not saying that Wolf is going down. But what a trade, 808. What a trade that guy had. He had 13,000 shares at 87 cents. And I had to, I mean, it's too much information, but I had, I don't know, a year ago or a year and a half ago, I had some shares at the same price. but I had to sell them, and it didn't go very far. You know, you sell that, doesn't go very far. And so it's gone. I had to spend it. But this guy had 13 million shares of Wolf at 87 cents. And he sold them at $4.50, $4.35, something like that. And that doesn't mean the stock's going to go down. That's just a guy who has a lot of money in all these trades. And that's just one son of a bitch of a trade. Just call it 387. Just call it 387. Assume he's lying about his price. He made $3 on 13 million shares. He made 40 million if I round back up again. That's a nice trade. 40 million in one trade. It's really nice. So, but just so you don't get worried, Ham said that he heard from his friend that there's 2 billion shares short in Wolf, 2 billion shares short. Do you think the SEC is stalling on the, because they need it? No, I don't think they're doing that. I think the dividend is being delayed. The approval of it is probably being delayed because earnings are expected July 12th, on or around July 12th. Might as well wait to get updated financials before they make their decision. That's my guess. That's my guess. But they are slow. They are slow. All right, whatever. That's a hard one to get through. I think people that transfer while the gate's wide open, they have first claim. And I understand the argument about the originals, but I would agree with you more. And I think you mean 165, right? 165. But I don't want to correct you. Maybe that's a significant number. But I would go along with your reasoning if the brokerage firms had been honest and just transferred everything out and we're done and everything's, but it's not that way. There's been a lot of selling and buying and what's the word? Cross-pollination. I don't think you can break it out that way anymore. But I hear you. I do hear you. How? South Carolina. Somebody I know. Oh, I know who. A friend of mine's in South Carolina, Charleston. He said he loved it. It's great. It's just the best. So, I've been through it. I've driven through it. I don't think I was ever in Charleston. I might have been. If it has a bunch of big old trees and old buildings, I might have been there, but I just can't remember. It's just good versus evil. No question about that. Good wins in the end, even if it takes forever. I hope so, but there's a lot of evil in it. There's a lot of evil in it. I mean, I'll probably have to read it again with a highlighter so I can talk to you live, because I did 3 videos on it, really. and very repetitive and wrong. From the start, it's wrong. Let me see if I can find one of them. To accomplish his plan, Berta devised a series of transactions intended to create a short squeeze. How do you know that? Yeah, it was intended to put the ingredients together that a short squeeze might happen and then take advantage of it. Sure, but that's not illegal. That's not illegal. That's just the other end. That's the skinny end of a decade-long effort by the criminals to destroy the price of the stock by selling stock that doesn't exist. This is just listen to this if I can find it. Just amazing. With Torchlight facing serious financial distress, Berta hatched a scheme to manipulate the price of Torchlight stock and capitalize on that manipulation. Ooh. Torchlight was at a crossroads. Of course it was. The criminals put in there. It had sold all of its revenue generating oil and gas assets. I don't know if that's true at all. Leaving Torchlight with oil and gas leases on early stage exploratory projects. Yeah, but the key is the criminals left him with an inability to raise money. The Oro Grande project was undeveloped, had no proven oil and gas reserves, and this is just made up out of whole cloth. Covered significant areas of acreage far removed from existing proven geologic formations. What does that mean? Is Saudi Arabia far away from Iraq? Yeah, but in the formations, in the geologic time, anyway, that's just false. Debts to pay, all that. The market, he says, this genius of an attorney, the market for Torchlight stock reflected the company's deteriorating financial condition. Or could it be hundreds of millions of shares sold that don't exist by the criminals? The stock dropped below $1 per share in October 2019. Oh, and this is a crime now. This is so Orwellian. Berta believed that there was a significant volume of short interest in the stock. He wrote in an email, oh my gosh, he wrote that the short position in Torchlight is quite extensive. Oh, the audacity. And then he said, they will be forced to cover. Hush my mouth. He didn't. No, he didn't. And that could trigger a short squeeze. He said that? Oh my gosh. So Berta hatched a plan. He hatched a plan. Unlike this attorney didn't set about to hatch a misleading filing of a lawsuit. He wasn't hatching. He's in there doing the Lord's work, this attorney. So Berta hatched a plan to manipulate the price of Torchlight stock and to capitalize on it. Specifically, by at least June of 2020, he developed this plan. Find a merger partner who desired Torchlight's NASDAQ listing. Yeah, Shell. The shorts leave you with nothing out left to sell. You're down to your last shuck with nothing left to lose. All right, I got to get that stupid speaker going. It was working, but now it's gone.
Battery 40%. Connected.
Okay, now I got to connect you. Now I got to connect you. Now I got to connect you.
Are we using the cup and a string? What are we doing?
There it is. There it is.
We're using a cup and a string?
Well, actually, speaker's sitting on top of a cup, so it's up high next to the microphone. Yeah. There's no string involved.
We have to add the string to it. So I just put up, William, some data from years ago of a company called Sears Roebuck. I think people know it who are older than 12 years old.
Do you know that when I was in high school, I worked at Sears Roebuck and Company?
I'm sure you did. But and Pat Byrne had the data on the fails to deliver. And if anybody wants to go look at it, it's on Twitter.
I was even a Sears Roebuck catalog teen model.
All right. Well, anyway, I was just trying to show everybody the data that was available, and it shows the fails to deliver exploding and the price of the stock collapsing. It's very easy to see. Patrick Byrne had great people helping us out that could put the charts, the data together, and it's very easy to see. Just change the symbol, and that instead of Sears, it's FingerMotion. It's the same thing. The same thing as Sears, just take out, it was DJT from 54 down to 24. It's the same stupid pattern. It's the same crime. Optimuse sent me a text. He thinks that the attack on John Berta, sorry. John Berta is giving the shorts some strength, thinking that they're invincible again.
It's a bullshit complaint. I went through it.
No, we know
it's
that.
all bullshit.
I'm just saying, but it gives them the strength that they think that they're invincible again, and they start to and they were attacking using this. We were on the call early, William. The stock was 80,000 shares volume, wasn't even trading, and all the watch trading gets it up to 225,000 shares. Like it's like ridiculous. It's all fake trading. I can't even say that the naked short is expanding because it's only going up maybe 50,000 shares a day, 60,000. That's real buying. So we're doing 300,000 a week. We're not doing millions. I'll be the first to tell you that. So we've been stuck at 230 million for a while. I'm not going to add any more. It doesn't make any sense, And it just to show you, remember, I didn't check the data, shortsqueeze.com, to see what the real short is doing right now. We should get an update on that today, tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, or maybe it's out right now. I didn't look. So we always try to chase the facts and the data to see what the criminals are doing. The only way out of this mess is they have to buy back all the shares they sold. They're trying to wear us out, trying to divide us, everything they're doing. And I got it. People cry, they lose. I got it. Believe me, I hear it too. But on a dime, these things change. DJT, they smashed it from 54 down to 24. And in 3 days, it's now 39, advancing to 40 again. These shorts need volatility to get people to sell. FingerMotion does not have volatility, so they have to create it. They never take the volatility up because they can't afford it when it goes up. So the volatility they try to create is always down. I expect at any time a stock to take a big spike up because they need people who are buying it to turn around and flip it and sort of take it and say, okay, that was the rally. And they'll try to scoop it back up, below 4. That's what they're trying to do. I mean, and they'll say, oh, FingerMotion's up 80% today, blah, 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 blah. It's the same stupid stories they write. And that's how you cover a stock. How do I know? Because I did it. I covered stocks. When you want to cover millions of shares of stock, you got to spike it up fast, then go out, get a hot dog, come back, and when the longs are looking for you, they're saying, "Where's the buyer? He's gone." When the stock starts to move up again, they start selling into it because they felt they missed the trade. That's an old Wall Street trick. That's how shorts try to cover. All right. On the downside, the shorts attack it real quick because they want people to panic. They want to hit stop losses. They want to make sure people panic. So it's a very different pattern. We're seeing now is the DJT stock. They're creating volatility. Spike it up, drop it down, spike it up. And that's what I say. Buy the dip, sell the rip. Buy the dip, sell the rip. GameStop is giving that same sort of signal. Buy the dip, sell the rip. You can buy the dip and make 25 cents. It's no shame buying 1,000 shares and making a quarter. It's $250. Then you buy the dip, do it again, and buy the dip and do it again. And if the trade goes against you a little bit, at least you got 60 cents, 70 cents of profit. So if you do pay and you're down a quarter, you say, wait a second, I just made 60, I'm losing a quarter. I'm still plus 35 cents, whatever it may be. And that's how you got to look at Wall Street. Not everybody buys a stock and is immediately in the black. It doesn't happen. One of those Osprey planes just went over my home. The big propeller thing.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty low. But
Coming for you.
But as long as you understand the different patterns of trading, and they're starting to be very obvious, and that's what I did for a living. And when I saw the pattern, I would buy it for myself. I tell my hedge fund friends, and we all start buying it, and we would create the momentum ourselves. And that's what happened in GameStop all those times. But the GameStop, the big hedge funds are really, giving up on it. But there's other players here that'll take it back and forth. But hey, if I bought 1,000 shares of GameStop at 24 and a quarter, it went to 25, and you say, well, I didn't sell it, I didn't make enough money, and it's 24 and a quarter or 24.10. There's no embarrassment in losing 15 cents and restarting your position again. No one's going to yell at you. You can do that. People do it all the time. If you're upset with your position in a trading stock and you caught the wrong price, you sell it, you start over again. Breaking even, losing a dime or a nickel, it's okay. That's what happens. But when your stock starts to go up, you got to make sure you make enough money to cover up those losses, because you will have losses. Everyone does. Any questions on that, William? Did I explain it clearly or no?
You did. This gentleman's disappointed that Finger did not make any major announcements after the closing bell ceremony at NASDAQ. People were discussing.
You know what? I told them, I said, listen, I made up 3 fake press releases. You could pick one and just put it out so that we can all get a positive press release and you guys can go to jail. It doesn't happen like that, sir. I'm sorry. Companies have to wait. When you do a deal or a press con, whatever you're doing, you need the other side to sign off. You have lawyers. It takes time. Believe me, I'm like you. Let's jam it. Let's fuck everybody. Let's go. But guess what? I'm not going to jail for it, and you don't want to go to jail for it. You know what? If you'd like to go to jail, I'll have FingerMotion give you the press release. You sign off on it. And when the SEC and the DOJ comes, they grab you. If you want to do that, I'll see if they'll sign off on it. I'll be glad to make that call for you. I'll say, I have someone that's willing to go to jail to release a fake press release.
I also think if you own Finger, I know it's hard, but I would just, in your mind, they have this expression, sell in May, go away. Just enjoy your summer. It's $3. I think it'll be $6 in the fall, $9 even, just in its normal growth, and just ease up on yourself. Stop being agitated by it. Finger has graduated. Finger has graduated to a real company that doesn't need to go back to the pimps. It'll be fine. But we just have to wait.
Listen, I'm aggravated. I understand your position. We all are. I'm not happy about looking at it every day. Believe me, I'm not happy. But I can't do anything about it. We can't put out fake press releases. That's not possible. People are not going to jail for us because we're unhappy. It happens when it happens. The CEO is telling you things are moving and things are happening. Go find a CEO that's telling you things are going great. Most of them will never say it in a video. They'll tell you in person. They'll whisper to you on a corner. And I always told you, be leery of a guy who says that to you. When your CEO puts it in a video, okay, and you get to see it, he's basically put himself on the line, putting it in a video, because you could take him to court, sue his ass off, all right, because he's putting it in a video. Most CEOs will never say anything on a video. Go look. Tell me how many you see. They always whisper because they don't want to get in trouble.
Do you think, I mean, I'll give my answer, but I'll let you answer it first. Do you think DJT will move one way or the other based on the debate?
I think it's going to move tomorrow up into the debate. If he brings up something about naked short selling, it's all over with. And Donald Trump knows GameStop made $4 billion. They're not stupid people. Imagine telling the whole world tomorrow that when he gets in, he's going to take care of the counterfeit shares in the stock market. Everyone will faint. All these criminals are going to faint. And I wouldn't be surprised he does it. This is real money. No matter what happens in the world, win, lose, or draw, he has the right, like anyone else, to protect his asset. And his asset is stock in this company. And right now it's controlled by criminals, and he knows it. Devin Nunes knows about it. Maybe he speaks about the SEC not doing their job. Maybe he says something like that. I don't know. I didn't write a speech. You're lucky I didn't write a speech, because it would be over if I wrote a speech.
My answer is that I think it'll go up, like Cam said, it'll go up before the debate. That might be a chance to trade out. But more importantly, I don't think it's going down.
Listen, Wall Street's funny. They buy it before, and they'll sell it, either before the close tomorrow. They may, depending on what they get a good feeling tomorrow. The stock with options, it could really get it moving. It's a tough place. It's a tough place to sell off. I can tell you that. Meaning that I think if this thing jumps through 40 tomorrow, there's a lot of options of the 40s that are out there now. Those can turn to be buys, and those exaggerate movements. It's very difficult to tell you what's going to happen, because those will exaggerate a movement.
And I think if it goes over 52, which seems like a long way right now, but if it gets through 40-ish, it can go up to 50 very quickly. But if it got through 52 range, I don't know. I think it's going to 100. So I think your risk reward and trade it. Don't hang on to, like Cam says, if it runs up, trade part of it, buy back, all that. But I really don't see it going back to 30 or 27.50.
Listen,
I could be
just
wrong.
think of it. There's nothing more to think about. Donald Trump knows about GameStop. Ryan Cohen made $4 billion with sticking with his finger up his ass. Okay? He has no business. He had nothing. He made $4 billion. Donald Trump has the shorts. The data, he knows. He sees the data. They know about it. Devin Nunes knows about it. All right? They all know about it. Do you think they're just going to say, oh, my goodness, just these guys playing games. Don't worry about it. Let's build a business. Or they're going to sit there and say, screw it. Donald Trump said on one of the debates that he doesn't pay taxes. And he said because the tax code, he understands the tax code and knows how to get around it, right? That's what Donald Trump said, correct?
Yeah.
So you don't think he understands this? This is free money. The best business model in the world. Squeezing a short and being long. I think he's long 70 million shares. Who wouldn't want to be squeezing the shorts if you long 70 million shares and they call you up at $200, $300? Sell us the 70 million shares. Absolutely, he's going to say. Here you go. That's the business model. And he's trapped them, and he has them. FingerMotion has the same business model. Let Donald Trump carry the flag for us. He's more powerful than we are. And they're going to expose it because there's plenty of money to be made off of Ken Griffin's back. And I think Donald Trump is going to do it and take them to the cleaners if it's him. Or if it's Goldman, whoever it is, he's going to roast them. And they registered those shares for a reason, because I think they know they're going to clean their clocks out. Now the shares are free trading, right? They're approved. He can sell it to them anytime he wants now. That's funny. Didn't FingerMotion have a S1 completed? So in case the stock ever goes, they can raise money anytime they like? Isn't it nice to be ahead of the curve and be prepared? Huh. Interesting.
There you go. I like this guy. This isn't, it has nothing to do with you, but I'll read it out. John Rambo says, hey, William, in light of this, this suit by the SEC, it's clear now more than ever that transferring to NextBridge hydrocarbons is the only immediate solution toward our resolution. That could be a song. I agree with you. Berta didn't do anything wrong. Maybe I can get him on the show.
Someone posted to me, they went over that S1, like I think it was 3 times or something like that, 3 or 4 times before it was
It's
approved.
so illogical. He put in his public disclosures that it may squeeze. And then they're saying he had a scheme to cause it to squeeze. Well, which is it? And then he said that Torchlight, he had done nothing to raise money. Well, then the stock goes up and he executes an offering, just like Popcorn did. And I'm not comparing him to Popcorn or GME. And he raised 130 million or something. And it's only 20 million that went into the NextBridge side and alone. But come on. I mean, pick one side of your argument or the other, the SEC. And they don't care about the manipulation that the criminals did for over a decade.
Right. They didn't say anything about that. The people that murdered Northwest Bio, CVM, any stock, GTI, you name it. GTI is even crazy. We got all the proof from everybody. The prime broker, the criminals, everything.
Yeah.
The DTC, and they still don't do anything.
Yeah.
It's insane what's going on. This is the U.S. equity markets. This isn't our equity markets. This is the U.S. equity markets. And everyone, I hope, can see it's a total scam. And we're trying to navigate through it so that we can make profit off the back like GameStop did. Unfortunately, I don't have hedge funds that want to run into a stock and just go buy it because of who I am. Ryan Cohen did. Ryan Cohen and his buddies. Ryan Cohen's a very powerful guy, has powerful hedge fund friends, and said, hey, let's go fucking destroy this company. And guess what? They all did. Michael Burry was in there. Show me the relationship between these characters. I guarantee you the people that own all the float were all related together and all spoke with each other. That was 100% orchestrated by big players. And I said that 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 times more. It wasn't retail. It wasn't Roaring Kitty. They used him as a scapegoat. He wanted to be a star. They made him a star. I don't want to be a star. I just want the fucking money. Give me the money so I get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you called me a rat bastard. No.
Me?
Yeah, Mark is remembering when I told you you'll have the best knees in the cemetery. I listened to.
What are you gonna be like? Going Frankenstein and dig me up to take my knees? What are you guys doing?
I listened to read Rodney Dangerfield. He asked Lefty Drysdale. He said, "So, how much does it cost?" No, or he said, "Where do you get a haircut that leaves a hole in the middle?"
I'm going to use that one this week.
He did it. He did it out in front of everybody, just like he would. I remember Lefty Drysdale. He had a temper, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Anything else, William?
Well,
Let's
I'm
go.
looking. Somebody wanted you to go on a space call. I said I didn't even bother reading it.
Nah, I have a pickable game at 5:30. I'm sorry.
Wow. Nunya, the house sits next to a barn, but she, I always get it wrong. She bought a room addition package, or her parents did, from Sears Roebuck in the 40s.
My favorite thing about Sears growing up, we used to go there and they used to have the plastic computers. They didn't have real computers, they had plastic computers as the display models. And that's what I believe that the Kramers and Charlie Mayo were using. That they're so
just hitting the sell button, and they just had a computer for disguise because there's only one
button. They didn't have a computer, right? They didn't have anything. That's how stupid those guys are. Hey, but they sold millions of dollars. The SEC treated them with kid gloves like they're a high roller at the casino. Oh, the Kramers and Mayo were here. Oh, what'd you guys do? Oh, we sold 10 million this year. Oh, okay, great. Come on, comp them. These guys are good guys.
I remember this beautiful woman that worked, young, my age, that worked in women's clothing. She was just stunning. But I remember being there, trying to talk to her, which we would do. But a woman came in with an old fur coat, and I think it was from Lord & Taylor's or Tallheimer's, but it was this expensive coat, $5,000, $10,000, $6,000 back then. And it created a scene. The floor manager came over and accepted it as a return. She had worn it for years, and they accepted it as a full price refund. That's what Sears used to be. You could return anything, and get your money back.
Well, when I was in high school, I worked at a clothing store. I worked at Bonwit Teller. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember them.
Who?
It was a high end. It was like a Bloomingdale's.
Bob who?
Bonwit Teller. Bonwit.
I have no
worked
memory.
there in the men's department, and I used to take all the nice ties and suits, take my size, put it in the back, and when they went on sale, I bought them. That's what I did.
So that's smart. I worked in I worked in hardware, but then there was an opening in shoes.
So you became Al Bundy. Oh, goodness.
I worked in shoes, and the manager was so nice. I tried to get away, but he was just so nice. Steve something. But I was always number one. I had the gold stars every week, month. That was great. But then in college, I worked as a haberdasher. I worked at Graves for 2 years selling men's clothing, and it's interesting. Interesting.
Well, everybody did something. That's where we started from. Then I went to Fraud Street. Oh my goodness. And the funny thing is that I knew nothing about the fraud side. I knew about the insider trading side. That I know. But all this other nonsense I learned. I said, what's that? Who's doing what? I didn't even I never paid attention because I wasn't that side of the game. So there was Knight Securities. Everybody, if you want to go read up, go Google Knight Securities. They were original scumbag firm. Knight, they stole everything.
Yeah, but that's back when scumbaggery was looked down upon. Now it's
That's true. You know, I know something. That is a great quote, William. Thank you. It was looked down upon back then.
Yeah.
Now you're a movie.
You're a hero if you do it.
Yeah.
Frickin' Kramer walks through that thing at Atlantic City like he's John Gotti with his people walking by, all smiles, not a care in the world.
Right. It's so funny. That is the greatest quote. That is fantastic because it is. Before, those guys were hiding in the shadows on Wall Street. No one knew who they were.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was, and I didn't know many people that cheated on Wall Street. They got kicked out very quickly. I just didn't know very many.
Right. No, I listen. I wasn't part of that. I don't know.
Well, I was
everything
never.
We had to do. Every order we get, we had to clock a ticket, the time stamp of everything you did.
We had,
But
yeah,
you
everything.
weren't allowed to touch your clock. They were locked up. Everything had to be timestamped. This, that, everything.
Yeah.
You couldn't do anything.
I mean, we had one guy who, my gosh, he was creative. Because back then you could place an order, believe it or not. So he'd call down and he'd call, would be big shot. I want to buy 100 contracts in Exxon, whatever. And then he'd go get a cup of coffee. It wouldn't come back until after 4. If the trade worked, he'd put it in his own account. If it didn't work, he put it in a client's account. And then he would somehow go to the client's mailboxes and get the statement out of the mailbox and then doctor it so the client never saw the losses. I don't know how we got away with that. I don't think there's a way to do that now because of the online. Everything's online now, you know. That was back before fax machines.
Wow, that's pretty creative. That's what you call a moron. I would have gotten on the phone today. I probably would have bought 400,000 DJT below 36. When it went to 39, we would have sold it somewhere between.
I would have given it all to my clients because then I have happy clients. I wouldn't have.
I told you, I would have done 300,000 in 36 average, say 300,000 out, say 38 average, make 2 points at 600,000. The client would pay me 6 cents in, 6 cents out.
I would do it with my clients if I did a trade.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. Just look what I just made. I made $20,000-$30,000 doing nothing.
And every now and then we did have stock or, overnight an opportunity to do something like that. I'd give it to my best clients or somebody that needed a little help. I never took it for myself. I don't think we were allowed to ethically, but where are ethics now?
Oh, you made the best thing. If you're a crook now, you're a hero. Ken Griffin is a hero. He's walking around buying billion-dollar homes, this property, doing everything. He's a star.
I don't know if this is a serious question. Do you believe GME will squeeze to 2,000 per share? If not, get a psychiatrist. I don't think it will.
It would have. It would have if the company did not cover the shorts.
I have to go get a shrink.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah. I heard you. But what you've got to get in your head is this is everybody against us. And in the case of GME, the big boys worked with them, and I'm sure with the regulators, to help him sell stock, diffuse it, and I'm sure he'll be rewarded. He'll have a miniature Amazon because if he plays by the rules, they'll fund him. They'll make him great. He's set for life. But when you read the Berta complaint, they're talking the other side of it. They'll do anything to keep this out of the press and to make us look like fools. And in my opinion, make sure that no squeezes happen. The only way you're going to get a squeeze is with a surprise or with earnings with a CEO that never goes back to the shorts. That's what I think you have with Finger.
William, they already went to the press. They had Gasparino already barking, and some of the other people barking already. This theory's out the window. John Bird is a bad guy. Yeah. That's what they did already.
Yeah, right.
So they out of the gate without knowing any of the facts. Zero. They're already reporting on it.
So in Canada, you can send your shares to Equinity. You just have to use a different address. That's great, Tim. I'm glad you did it. Is it Fleet Week in New York City? I went to Fleet Week. I had a girlfriend, really, I did. And long time ago. That was kind of impressive. I don't know if it's Fleet Week. That's not on my calendar usually. It's Wimbledon. The draw's on Friday.
Oh, is it?
And Novak Djokovic makes his decision Thursday evening whether he'll play.
He's 37 years old. He's more washed up than we are.
and he's got a torn knee, but he's back. I don't know how to answer that.
He's
question.
an amazing athlete. He's on top. He should bow out when he's on top. Young kids are very tough to play. The pressure to lose to them is great. And if you watch the Olympic trials, there was a 16-year-old kid that was outstanding. I think he came in third in his heat against adults. 16 years old.
Because they don't know they can lose. I think Djokovic would have won the French Open, except they really they've abused him with late night on 2 nights, and then the court was dry. They didn't wet it down, and he complained, and he knew. Anyway, he's back. He never complains. He keeps going. So do you think Finger's dividend, are you confident in the dividend, or is the SEC going to withdraw it?
The SEC can't shut it down. It's been going on 100 years. Everyone does it. This is something I'm told the SEC, FINRA, they're buried. They're way behind on a lot of things. I hear people with filings can't get things done. This is not the only company that has a problem.
I tell you, that Gensler, he's a hell of a manager.
They have billions of dollars in budget. Billions. And they can't do anything.
I know. And then they set the rewards. The rewards they get are so cheap. You know?
It's amazing. We whistleblow. We put the truck in front of the SEC. We called them out. We've done everything. Everything possible. 15 times. I've been posting about special dividends for years. Musical chairs will expose the system. I've been saying it. And I just posted up there for people in GTII who are being smart at GTI dividends. The brokerage community band together to fuck everybody. The $2.75 warrant. Okay. They told investors if you exercise the warrant when the stock was $9, okay? If you exercise the warrant, we won't let you put the stock that you just paid for in your brokerage account. They won't accept it. So people that wanted to buy it, sell their stock at $8, buy it back at $2.75, give the company the money. We're told they couldn't do it. So people did not do it. That's just one way the brokerage firm worked against everybody. And no one talks about it.
Oh, it's all rigged. It's all rigged. It's all completely rigged.
William, did you ever get your dividends from GTI?
No, of course not. Other people have, but I haven't. I gave up. I called every other day. I've given up.
That's what they want to do. They want people to give up. I have friends that stopped doing it. I'm not calling anymore. I waste an hour. They put me in a circle, the same story, back and forth, back and forth. What are you supposed to do when they do that to you all day long? That's what they do. So people say it didn't work. It does work. It creates a monster headache for them. We don't control when JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Ameritrade, all these guys get together and they say, hey, GTI did a dividend. Fuck them. Don't worry about it. Just give them an eye on you. No, they're not going to do anything. That's what they do. And John Berta happened to catch him. Pat Byrne happened to catch him. And GameStop has never even done one. Taser never did one. Sometimes these short squeezes just take off beyond need. Peloton, they just get hot and they go. It happens all the time.
If I had a couple of grand, would I buy GTII at 12 cents or Finger at 2.55? Look, if you're even asking that question, I'd put half in Finger and half in GTII, and because I think Finger will be. You can double your money in Finger in the next 2 or 3, 4 months for sure, in my opinion. And the other, if the other one went to zero, at least you have your original. What's your answer to that question?
I would say what you just say, and just say, listen, let's say you buy CCII at 12 cents and the company gets kicked out. The stock could double in a minute. Richard Hoffman is working on that. Pay attention to what he's doing. Richard Hoffman is working on kicking management out. If he does, the company could merge in a powerful partner. Keep an eye on it. That's what he's working on. So again, I don't know if it's going to happen, what's going to happen, but he's working hard on it. Pay attention, do your homework. You can ask me if it's like taking a snapshot. What's the difference, right? FingerMotion, I know, is a real company, and all the information is readily available right in front of your face. Watch the video. We talk about the manipulation every day. The manipulation is going to end. They're just digging a hole. You know what? I know people adding to it every day, not the size that we want, but they are adding to it. You know?
But of the two, the riskiest, and maybe the reward's greater, is GTII right now. Right now it is. But Finger, right. That's why I would just, in my head, I'd write down my goal in this trade, and I would buy Finger, because I'm all about conserving capital now. It would be, okay, I own Finger. At worst case, now, of course, you can't predict everything, but worst case, in 3 months, it doubles. I'm giving my feelings. Even if GTI went to zero, I'd know I'd get my money back that way. But if they both worked, great.
So listen, just remember that when the stock like GTII doubles and triples, you must take some profit off the table.
Absolutely.
And this way you let the rest run.
Absolutely.
That's the way you look at it.
I wish
like an option.
I just bought into the idea that the squeeze was happening, and I was wrong. But RW, my feeling of GTII now, just sort of watching the trading, I would be more concerned that the next move surprises to the upside than to the downside. But I'm still kind of on the fence on it. But right now I'm leaning that way, where before I was leaning it could go to 9 cents, So.
Right. Hey, listen, that's what it is. Listen, follow Richard Hoffman. He's the key. It's right there. He's telling you what he's doing. If he gets management removed, which I believe he's going to do, I think that there's good partners that can come in here, powerful companies that want to come in here. They got a great shareholder base, and they'll take advantage of the low price and put in good fundamentals. But that's Richard Hoffman winning the lawsuit. That's it. Listen, if it was $30, it's a lot of risk. At 12 cents, the risk is 12 cents.
This is interesting. I'll probably read this. I'll understand this differently than you are, but Peter is telling me IBKR just liquidated about $3,300 in his account because of a $150 missing margin. And so they had 60 positions. He has 60 positions in his account, which I think is too many. But they were only satisfied when they liquidated 76 Finger, which he had marked. He had instructed them to be the last position liquidated. So I guess my reaction is you own too many positions, but
they out of all the stocks, they sold 76 shares of FingerMotion.
It's 3,300 market value to get only 150 in margin missing. So
that's amazing.
That's whacked out.
That's what Wall Street does. They liquidate. They take. That's amazing. That
they have a right to do it, though, Peter.
Right.
That's the damnedest thing.
They sold one that they're probably short on. And that's one of those trades that the stock is 360 bid, and they come out and they just sell 76 shares. Those are those crazy shares that we see printing all the time. They're one of them right there. So there is one right there.
It's incredible what they can do, but they have a right to shut the credit window any way they want to. You
They
have
control the whole game. It's their game.
You
it's
have no
their
rights.
board, it's their ball, and we're sitting here, with them.
you have no
Anyway,
rights.
listen, I'm
No,
walking
not.
in to play a pickleball game. I
All
have
right.
a game at 5:30, and I'll speak to everybody in the morning. Have a great night.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Thank you.
So I correct myself, Peter. I take it all back. If you have sprinkled positions across a lot of mining stocks, then that makes sense to me. I have a goal. I want to tell everybody about. I looked it up. You used to be able to get research reports, but I can't. I'm having a hard time doing it. But I want to. In the commodity area, in the stock, even oil and gas, I think you have to build a position in sort of blue chip stocks, although they're all kind of speculative right now. But Freeport McMoran, the Exxons and the Chevrons have already moved, but there's some other stocks that will rally, and I like. I've always liked Chevron. I've always liked Exxon. But Oxy Petroleum maybe. Anyway, I want to pick some of those out. But I think this Wheaton Precious Metals is a thing you gotta own. Even though when I started following it, it was $8 or $10. It's now $50. I hate it. All the things. But anyway. No, I'm confused right now with GTII. Because I think things are going to get shaken up. And it's just a question, how does it behave after that? And I think it could behave well. But it also could just be a case where it has a run and then they get it back down here. So I think there's a trade maybe. But to me, it's a flip of the coin on GTII. It ran up when they had that announcement. Gee whiz. Oh, when the company announced something, so it went to 12 cents. I was kind of surprised it didn't sell right back down. So that's why I'm now thinking, wow, there's some strength there. But RW, the markets don't behave like they used to. Finger, I'm absolutely convinced if you can own it. I'll use the example that bothers me when I think about it. Because for a while, I owned, but I see what I can't remember. I think it was 2 years ago. Maybe it was a year and a half. But I owned 10,000 shares of Wolf. And I held it thick and thin. I think I overpaid like I always do. But I held it and 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 held it. And then I just ran out of time. And if I had held on, if for some reason I had made it to today, which I didn't, I'm telling you, I didn't. But, I'd have 40 grand, which is nice. So, and I don't, I had to spend the money. So I don't have it. But anyway, that's kind of how I feel like Finger. If you can hang on, I think it's going to be a $5, $6, $7 stock. And the thing is, it's hard to believe because they're such a ragtag agglomeration of companies. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. But now these different businesses have really moved along. I mean, I think my favorite, if I had to guess, that's going to surprise the market for Finger is big data. But will it be the insurance side, or will it be some huge contract that I can't even conceive of? Will it be an AI contract? Will it be a contract to help drones swarm? Will it be a riot control contract from the government? Will it be, I can't make things up. I'm not that creative. Will it be a different insurance company? I don't know. But if I had to guess, that'll be the one that will bring a big contract in. And then Finger's a different story. But it, the Finger is very deliberate, slow, careful, intelligent, hardworking. So it's a matter of changing our mindset on it a little bit. But yeah, it's interesting you ask on GTII. Not to distract you, but you could buy 35,000, 33,000 shares of Logic for $1,000, and it's all buried here. But they just announced their definitive agreement for a reverse merger with this company. I forget now the name, MetaLab or something, but it's 6 cents a share. Assuming, here's the risk with Logic. If they listen to Aubrey advisors, they're sunk, or whoever it was that destroyed the SPAC. If they let the market price of the stock, if the CEO lets the market price of the stock, just like I just read Vocal canceled their deal with somebody, I bet it's because the CEO on the other side said, I don't like the price of the stock anymore. CEOs have to stop looking at stock prices because they're fraudulent, they're manipulated, they're not right, they're not accurate. And so in this case with Logic, to get 100 million, we're going to have 15% of the new company. So if you take 242 million shares is 15% of X. So if you divide 242 by 15, you come up with a new share position, subtract the original, you know how many shares they should issue for Med Labs. I'll cut to the chase. It's 6 cents a share. But if that CEO doesn't believe that and he says, well, the stock's trading at 3 cents, well, then he or she saying, I want that lower number, she's only going to create her own nightmare, because then there's going to be more companies coming in and they're all going to do it. And it's going to just cascade downward. If, on the other hand, they can ignore the fraudulent number, which is what I think they'll do, they bring in MetaLab at 6 cents. They've announced that they're going to do 2 more deals sort of now. It sounded like imminently, but I suppose maybe by the end of July. But they just put their financials out. They have some cash. So I really think Logic's going to announce something. The risk is if they do the deals based on market price, the trade won't be very exciting, but it'll be a positive trade. If they do it on the valuations they know and they announce, and they do it on the arithmetic, which is not hard. Apparently they're going to do right around now $750 million worth of deals. If they stick to the formula, 242 million shares is 15% of X, and then use the amount of shares that is left over, divide that into 750 million. They just have to do all 3 of these very quickly. You've got a 45 cent stock, 45 cent stock. And that's logic. But it's been boring and under attack, and it's a reverse merger story. But at 3 cents, I think it could go to 6 cents for sure. I think it could go to 15 cents. So that's 5 times your money in, let's say, well, at any point, depending on the news announcement. But I'd say within 6 weeks, it could happen. But I don't know. You know, we've been waiting forever on all these stocks. GTII, I think some sort of, you know, let's draw a line in the sand. Let's make everybody happy, and now let's move on. That could happen. I think. If I had to guess, the lawsuit, if it's filed, I thought it was filed last week, but I haven't heard about it, so I don't know if there's something filed this week. I think as soon as it gets anywhere near that, everybody's going to want to let's just let's not tear each other apart. And so I think GTII could have a new beginning pretty soon. What does it mean for the stock? I'm not 100% sure, but I know if I'm involved, that every single action will be to not do a deal with the shorts, hidden or not. Err on the side of assuming everybody that comes in is a short. And then Finger, I think July 12th is their earnings. The dividend could come out after, the approval could come out shortly after that. The earnings will tell us a lot. There will be a lot of information there, and we can read it and understand it. Maybe there's a new research report. But big surprise announcements on Finger. I can't tell if that could happen next week or in September. My read of the trust proposition out of China is work with us, the government, the telecoms, and Finger, do what you say you're going to do, and be low key about it, and don't stick your head up too high, and things will be good. So I don't know. Finger, something could happen next week, but it could be September. To me, Finger is this trade. You own it, you buy it. I think the earnings will start telling us in their second quarter, which is our third quarter. That's going to be our third quarter. I think we by then will see strong revenue, cash flows we'll be able to understand, and probably positive earnings. But more importantly, we'll get a lot of color on the insurance with MetLife, the insurance with Pacific Life Re, the warranty business with, I don't think I know the name of the insurance company. But anyway, the warranty business on the 5G, the expansion of the EV charging station business, the just steady on growth of the minutes, which is the backbone of the company. And I don't know if the Netflix of Southeast Asia, they have a lot of users, but I don't know how to read that one. And, you could always get a big contract or a big merger or buyout or something. But those are things we can't know about until they happen. But yeah, I think, have I left one of them off? I've probably left something off on their revenue streams. But the one that excites me the most is the big data Secondly, and contracts that might come from it. But secondly, I think this so-called Apple Care is going to be big. And once you know the revenues for this past quarter, this quarter, and the next, and it starts turning green into earnings, you can start doing some extrapolations. And they're not increasing. They're not increasing their outstanding shares. I mean, they will at some point, but they haven't yet. It's only 52 million. So anyway. Brokers are going totally nuts. They'll do anything to collect the shares they're short. They have that right. They will do anything. They will do anything. If they sold you out at a loss, Peter, that's tough because you got to wait 31 days to replace that position. That's tough. I would say silver, just physical silver, will double in that same time frame. If I had money, you could buy 10. It's way too high. I'd probably buy 5 closer in. But you buy 5 calls on DJT in the morning and you sell them later in the day if they're up. I bet you could make a couple of grand that way. And I'll think of some other trades. I just gave you the logic one that I think is going to happen. I think TLO at some point, I've got to try to get, maybe one of the guys would come on and do an interview, but I think TLO has to have a rally. I think Wolf, if it ever breaks out, could go back to 20. Anyway, I don't have a quick answer which stock I would replace Finger with because I like Finger so much. Oh, I didn't see that, Vin Man. Which banks? Do you mean commercial banks? Let me look it up. Let me find out. It might mean something's coming up. That's my first reaction. Because I love you too much and you love me. She's so glad she's telling all the world, baby. I don't see the, appoints Ford to the board of directors. Okay, let me open that up. I'm sure they're all goobers. The one I saw is a goober for sure. Okay, they did Gallagher, Brian Gallagher, Christopher Gelvin, John Herrick, and Igor Modlin. No women. I find that interesting. Gallagher, global head of markets at JP Morgan Chase. That makes me think of silver and the bond market. Gelvin, UBS. I think that brings to mind the bank they took over in Switzerland. So maybe he's there to protect some of the large unsettled positions that are held out of Switzerland, maybe. Herrick, Chief Product Officer at the NYSE, Product Development and Innovation. It sounds like a swell. I don't know why the NYSE would be on there. I'd say that's a push. And there you go. You finally get to the one that matters. Igor Modlin, Goldman Sachs. Prime Services Division. It's all about Goldman Sachs. That was about getting Goldman Sachs on there. The board, which helps DTC see strategic direction, works on an advisory level, 22 members, 13 participant directors representing clearing agent members, 5 non-participant, 2 directors appointed by preferred shareholders, NYSE or FINRA. So that's where the NYSE came in. They own preferred shares. Kevin Kessinger, non-executive chairman of the board, said, "We are pleased to welcome Brian, Christopher, John, and Igor to the board of directors. They bring extensive leadership skills, deep subject matter expertise, and diverse experiences in financial services to the board at a time when the industry is looking to the DTC for enhanced support. And they know where the bodies are buried. They can help us keep the short squeezes quiet and the failed to delivers quiet." Oh, Lordy. Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. I think if I had to sum that one up, it's all about Goldman Sachs. Thank you, Tim. Hey, Billy Ray. Hi, Jennifer. How are you doing? Thank you for all your help. Means a lot. I saw you on I think Junk Savvy's call. Or was it, maybe I saw you on the call with Wes, which was Junk Savvy. Who picks new management when old management is gone? A man who has plenty of peanuts, and giveth his neighbor none, shan't have any of my peanuts when his peanuts are gone. I guess you can, RA. You can do it. You can email me on fairandbalanced at Gmail. Fairandbalanced at Gmail. You can do it. Yeah, Ham gave good. That's a good. I like that ratio. Or our do it in round numbers. Round up your positions. I don't know why the human brain likes neat round numbers, but I like that idea. I know they have the right. I told them I was not interested in their lawyer garbage talk. I wanted to know why only GTI Finger and DJT would improve the margin. They take what they are short. Well, Peter, now that you say it that way, it might be that those 3 stocks, particularly GTII, but it could apply to the others, they may have different I can't think of the word, but they may have different percentages. So maybe you can't borrow anything on GTII. So if they sell that, you got 100% credit. On Finger, maybe it's 50-50, or maybe it's not as good as that. DJT, maybe it's 70-30, but maybe it's only 50-50. The point is they may put specific stocks on a different margin ratio than the rest of your account. I'm forgetting the word right now. I'm tired. But so by selling it, that stock, it releases more cash I mean, to use an example, if DJT is at 50%, fingers at, you have to maintain, I'm making it up, 75%, and GTII is 100%. That means when you sell GTII, every dollar goes against your margin call. In my example, finger 75 cents of every dollar and DJT 50 cents. And maybe that's why they went with those first. I don't know. But I have a feeling you really know why they did it. I know, RW, but it's so, I look back like an idiot. Why? I knew it was going to work because I believed in the story. And that's how I feel about Finger. That right now, that's how I feel about Finger. But anyway, I'm sorry you sold at a loss and then it runs. It's just, ugh. But hey, I don't think you should buy and hold, particularly in this market. But that doesn't mean you're always going to be right. I complained with IPKR. It is useless. They liquidated 3 position. Oh, I see. So they may have decided to put, they may not be telling you the truth. They may have liquidated Finger to cover the 150, but the other stocks they sold, they didn't want you in these short squeeze type plays. They'll call it because they're reducing their exposure for you. They're really reducing the exposure for themselves. IBKR might be feeling the real pressure of potential short squeezes. So while it's negative for your account, it might mean that something's afoot. But I have a small account at IBKR, in other words, 0. But I keep wanting to fund it just to see how it works. But I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, RW. But I don't know. You know, they manipulate everything, and then people get mad at me. And then you've got to count on the CEO not to do a deal with the criminals. And different CEOs have different makeups. Mark's always positive. Peace, love, happiness, love, respect, health, wealth to all. And little Omar Sharif. Ah, they liquidated your silver. That was probably because I can't figure that one out. I think silver could double by September, which bums me out. I don't have my position. I worked at this one firm where the head, the head of it was a woman, Julia M. Walsh. She was the first woman on the to own a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. She was, I had a lot of fun with her. She was, she liked her champagne and her hats. And she did a lot of business. And I went on a couple of President's Club trips with her. And then other events, I'd see her. And she had a real style about her. But and charisma, all of that. But her son, she and her son, there were 3 sons, but one I remember in particular. But she always would talk about, she had a lot of female clients. Those accounts went to another woman now who's a huge producer, my contemporary. but also tall, but but doesn't drink champagne. But the thing she would talk about, she would build a position. So she would talk to her investor, and I learned this from her. She said, let's build 100%, let's get 100% position, whatever that meant. And it's always different with every client. Or we'll take a half position right now, or we'll take a quarter position. So for me with silver, I don't have any real meaningful position, which bugs me because I think these things are going to run. Although I do think that the markets will fight back and they'll try to take our money from us in the precious metals and in the coins, just to have fun, just to do it. But that's not to say we can't fight that. I don't know when it happens, but I wish I had a full position in silver. And of everything there, those two you wrote there, Peter, those would be the two I'd cling to. Margin is a tough sword. It makes you rich on the way up, but it destroys your account on the way down. However, I do think there's a comfort feeling knowing you don't have a margin call and maybe you have no margin balance at all. It's been a long time since I maintained any margin balance of any kind, at least intentionally. It's been a long, long time because it's just so devastating on the way down. On the other hand, certain small price stocks trade as if they are on margin. And now the whole market doesn't trade fairly anyway. I mean, it's a tough game. I had a friend of mine tell me, just invest in the ETFs or in the managed money. They'll give you 8%. Let them make the rest. And she wasn't wrong. Mark is always smart. Sell in May and enjoy your summer away. Go summering. I happen to agree with you, Pete, but I don't own any. But just to give my view on Northwest Bio, I think it'll stay under massive short pressure. But if they have success in one of their therapies, and it looks like they are, and their tests are approved by whatever government agency, and their trial runs have gone through all the stages, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you can purchase or initiate a study of what that forward revenue will be, bring it back, present value it, and I think you'll get a bidding war for NextBridge Bio. And you know, Gilead Sciences will buy it, or Johnson & Johnson, or Moderna. Somebody will buy them. And I agree with your price target, actually. I would have said, if you made me pick a number, I would have said $80. But it's a guess. It's a complete guess. Well, I haven't. Sorry. Dominic, I will do that. The guy running everything took a vacation. So I think he's back. I'll get on that. There are a lot of emails. I have been in touch. The ringleader is also on vacation to Italy, but I'll get on that. Dominic, what happened to me over the last couple of weeks, pretty much the previous week, I got just, I don't know what the controversy is, but it seems so logical to me that when you read this crap, that you moved your shares. And it just overwhelmed my computer system. And one day I decided, until Jennifer came. Jennifer was the kid. She was the kid. She came in and all of a sudden it ended. And I give that credit to Jennifer. But I decided as it went on that I wasn't, that's my stubbornness, I guess, that I wasn't going to quit. I was accused of being spineless. I was accused of all manner of things. And so there was a debate that it taps into an energy, to speak like my mother used to, that you would never want to send back to those people because they're God's children, but you want to send it up and away from everybody. It's just bad juju, whatever that means. I had a wonderful trip to California. A wealthy young woman said that at dinner. One of the horse trainers or something, she said, he's got bad juju. And then I think that's out of New Orleans. It means something. But anyway, I will get to it. I got totally worn down. I don't know how I come across to anybody. I don't know if I've come across as a complete jerk. I'm sure I do. Come across as angry sometimes. I'm sure I do. Come across as loud and out of control and meltdown. I'm sure I am. I don't know if through it all, people can tell that I try to hew to being I don't know another way of saying it. I mean, I feel like such an idiot now as I look back on my life. I always lived my life as if people were paying attention. Nobody watches. And, I liked the heroes in stories. I mean, they're not as interesting maybe as some of the other characters. I like stories about priests and nuns and saints and people that do good things. I liked, Matt Dillon. But you get older and you realize everybody's doing all this shit and it didn't matter anyway. And I should have just had more fun or something. But I don't know. You can't be who you're not. And sometimes I wonder, why am I doing this? Because I read these stories about these people that have all these high paying jobs. If I had just stayed inside of the fort of Wall Street, I don't know if I'd have any of those jobs, but I'd probably be a top producer like I used to be, but the numbers would be bigger. And, pay for anything, travel anywhere, do anything. But I don't have an answer, but I do think it's corny the way I heard it said from Netherland, Sewell and Associates. When I went to the retirement party, I wish I had written down some of the other things, but the one that just stood out to me, that Clarence, I guess, started the firm, but he taught Scott, who's my friend, very close friend, and then Danny, my friend as well. And then that got taught on down, was do the right thing for the right reason. And that's not always easy to understand, but that's really I stay on here and fight, but anyway, Dominic, I'm not complaining. I just had an attack of gout again, but somebody sent me some medicine. I'm grateful. I'm going to be fine. My point is, it just drains me. It wipes me out. And so it's almost like I couldn't absorb one more bit of information. But I'm very excited on the gold mine, as you put it. I'm extremely excited about it. I've got to get my energy up before I talk to everybody, because the minimum is 5,000, and I'm trying to get them to lower that. I'm trying to get one guy who really wants to be in. And anyway, but the guy's been on vacation. So anything I did over the last week and a half just didn't matter. I'll get back to it. What's really good about it, Dominic, that excites me most of all, because I believe it. The goal was to raise 5 million. I think between, frankly, some of you guys, but then the guy I'm working with and the guy that's the ringleader for all the big whales in it, I think we're already, not all the money's in. It's just the commitments are coming, but I think we're already halfway there. And I think my experience with fundraising is that as people understand that we're halfway there, it accelerates how much money comes in. So I'm really, number one, I'm excited that you're in it, or whoever's in it. Number two, to me, there were only two risks in the project. One is that delays caused by not having the money to build out, to rehabilitate and expand the existing plant. Well, that looks like that's not going to be the problem. We're not quite there yet, but that looks like that problem is just gone, which is that's terrific. The second issue, so maybe there were three. The second issue was a lot of these older investors are tired, and we were given an offer a couple of months ago to buy out the whole company by this wealthy resource guy. And it netted out to 20 cents a share. And I was nervous because I thought it was a shite deal. Well, luckily, everybody voted it down. They said no. Well, if it looked like we weren't going to raise a lot of money, that deal might have come back, but maybe at 40 cents, But anyway, those two risks now, I think, are off the table. It's very exciting. The third risk, which is the most important risk, is once you produce it, will it scale? And I've gone over my notes. I've gone over research reports. I've talked with people. I'm really, of course, there's risk. And of course, it could all turn to, tits up. But at 4 cents a share, your risk is 4 cents. The early sale of the company, I think, is 40 cents, but that's off the table now. I don't see that happening. And then if they produce successfully, which is what I 100% believe will happen, 99.99, a sale of an earlier, not as early as now, but let's say a sale in the first quarter of next year, second quarter, $4 a share. But that's a low estimate. I think it could be more than that. But the thing that I like the best is a joint venture partner or building it out ourselves. And I intend to push for the building it out ourselves aspect. That could be $40. So I'm really excited about that project, and I'll get back to you, back to everybody. It's small. It's a small amount of commitment relative to the potential upside, and I don't want to drop the ball. So thanks for reminding me. I don't know if I'll do it tonight, but maybe tomorrow, when I'm full of vim and vigor, I'll get on the emails. They are, Peter. I agree with you. They are after certain targeted ones. They all work together. They all know. There used to be, I didn't work in operations, but there used to be notices that would come to Vern or Marge or Big Ella, Lily was her name, or Pat, or Bert, or Jack, and they'd see these notices and they'd call you, and so they would know. Are we screwed in MMTLP? Yeah, if you're in MMTLP, you're screwed. That's not 100% right. Don't quote me 100%. But my point is, move your shares. Move your shares to NextBridge. And I think you'll be so happy, J-Dub. I don't know when. And it's not without risk, NextBridge. But I could see the company trying to do a raise. Here's what's going on, J-Dub. The criminals are used to dealing with public companies. They counterfeited, sold shares that don't exist to a massive scale in Torchlight. Same project. Torchlight rolled up into MMAT, or the other way. MMAT rolled up into Torchlight, and the criminals wiped it out. And they continue to, because the board were idiots. They didn't listen to advice. Then they criminally got MMTLP to trade, which these jerks leave out of this. I'm telling you, these are two, in my opinion and judgment, these are two of the most bought and paid for shoddiest lawyers, Patrick Dis-Bennett and Christopher Rogers. No research, no clarity of thought, just terrible. So what they're trying to do, J-Dub, is to make sure that NextBridge cannot pay for its leases. They have to renew the leases for 5 years. I just read this in the quarterly. So they need to renew leases for 5 years. I don't know how much it'll cost, but they need that money. And they have to fill out their commitment to drill 5 wells this year and complete them by the end of the year. So I could imagine that number, depending on the lease, I don't know if the lease is just vertical wells, and the acreage just costs, I don't know, $50 an acre to renew, $100. It'll be in the lease. It'll be predetermined. It's real guesswork on my part, but they might need $50 million to get through to the end of the year. Hopefully it's a lot less than that, but they might need it. So do they tap the private markets? Do they sell shares? They already have a registration statement out there. So it's possible. And J-Dub, I'm not sure, although I don't talk to anybody at the company. I don't know what they'd sell the stock for. But the criminals are trying to make it difficult for NextBridge to raise money. I think that's why this lawsuit was filed. I think this is to cause, to make it difficult for McCabe to raise money, because he's going to be worried about all the ancillary risks, make the investors worried. But these kind of things work with a public company. NextBridge is a private company. And I think McCabe has a strong constitution. I have faith in him. So I don't think this is going to dissuade him. But J-Dub, again, I don't know what's required in the lease in terms of drilling 5 wells. If they just have to drill 5 vertical wells down to 2,000 feet, that's no big deal. But if the lease says they have to drill into, see, I don't even, as I'm talking to you, I can't remember the name of the zones. But if they have to drill down into the, the Wolfbane, or down into the, I can't think of the zones as I'm talking to you. I have a Biden moment. But if they have to go down 5,000 feet, 10,000 feet, that's a whole different league. Or if they have to drill horizontals, I don't know. My guess is, Jay, and it is a guess, is they only have to drill verticals, and they don't have to be that deep to hold the lease. But they have to get it done by the end of the year. That means they have to have at least one rig, maybe more. They have to have a team, and they have to schedule it. They have to make the deposits. So he can't leave it to the last minute. In most oil and gas companies, for tax reasons, you can spud the well in the first quarter of the next year, but not here. You got to spud this well now. You probably have to spud it. I'm going to guess, you're going to have to spud your first well probably by September, so that you have time, because you can have problems. It's drill incomplete. So I would guess that McCabe is on a schedule to spud his first well as soon as August, September. And that means he's got to raise some money. And that's why I think this lawsuit comes out, to make that difficult. What the criminals want to do is, either in a public company, is make the company bankrupt, make the company an oil company lose its leases, or get the company so desperate to hang on to its leases that the public company turns to the criminals to raise the money to drill those 5 wells. That's their whole modus operandi. Well, where they're caught is NextBridge is private. They can't do that same game. So I don't think you're screwed in NextBridge. But if you're listening to the people on Twitter and you stay in NextBridge, in MMTLP, I'd say it's 50-50 that you get screwed. It says here that you're entitled. Let me just read if I can find it. Okay. Shareholders who receive the preferred dividend would purportedly be entitled to receive the net proceeds of the sale of Torchlight's oil and gas. This guy, I'm telling you, this lawyer manipulates information. That if they sold assets in the first 6 months, it would net out like this. This is a lawyer for the criminals. Make no mistake about it. His mission is to help the criminals. All right, I just want to point something out to you, J-Dub, if I can find it. I should have highlighted it, and I'll have to, but I didn't want to do it while I was live because it's 46 pages. Well, I guess I'm not going to find it. But if you stay in MMTLP, you are entitled to 1 share of NextBridge. But if they've run out of shares, that entitlement, that becomes your problem. And you're going to run into attorneys like this. It's going to be stretched out for years, in my judgment. And I don't think you, J-Dub, or me, I'm not picking on you, I don't think I will have the money to fight it in court. So I think the quickest way, J-Dub, to get a good return on your money, potentially, there's still risks. Move your shares while if you talk about a bus, the bus door is still open. Talk about an aircraft carrier, a plane, airplane, while the gate's still open. Please move. This piece of work just totally convinced me that you must move your MMTLP to NextBridge, which means call your broker, transfer it to the transfer agent. And it says in other documents I've read, it's on you to do it. The Twitterati say, oh, it should be automatic. They owe us. No, they're trying to get you not to do anything because they're trying to make NextBridge. They want to run out the clock on the time to file. They want to drive everyone crazy so they'll accept a low offer. And they want NextBridge to lose its leases and then NextBridge to have a hard time raising the money to drill it up. They'll say anything. They'll be your friend. They'll challenge your manhood. They'll tell you they're great guys. These guys are good judges of character. But at the core, they have one goal: strip you of your assets, strip you of your agency, and then get a bonus when they're successful, a kickback. So, sorry, let me finish that. If you move your shares to NextBridge, I do not think you're screwed. If you stay in MMTLP, I'll give it 50-50. I think you will be screwed because I don't believe we'll have an attorney that'll do it for free. That's a certainty almost. So it'll be a long, winding road. And then the question is, how much did you lose? They're going to call you a speculator. They're going to try to blame Berta, as they already are. They will do and say anything to not pay out anything on MMTLP. And if they do pay out, to make it small or meaningless. And if it's a class action, what is it? You're going to get a 10 years of no annual fee on your IRA. No, I don't expect that. J-Dub, my whole mood on these short squeezes, when I first got involved, I was amazed at what was happening. My whole mood on them right now is that the system has them under control. And that's just my mood on it. So we have to think in smaller bite-sized pieces. So Jay, please move your MMTLP. Obviously get financial advice and legal advice from a professional, not me. But if they prove up the oil, which I think every action that they describe in here for John Berta, to me, proves that John Berta believed the value is here. So please move your shares or consider it. Utopia. You're welcome. Oh, it's this fall, Galadon? Well, that'd be good. I wouldn't mind owning a little bit of that. I don't own any now. Well, I think the U.S. markets are dying slowly, I think. But I think they'll fight all the way, and then it'll crash in a panic. The panic's going to come when Ann Wagner realizes that 10 out of every shares claim to be in your accounts. 10 out of every 11 shares don't exist. NWBO, yeah. I like NWBO. I need to study it again. I'm judging my assessment of it on you know, I did some, I guess you call it due diligence, and I came to my judgment, I guess, about a year ago. I still stand by it. There's Jennifer. Thank you. Jennifer's great. Well, that's nice. I'm glad you see through my real self to what I should be. Oh, that's also very nice to say, Jennifer. That's also very nice. I don't have family. I mean, my mother is in hospice and doesn't remember her children, and my dad is dead. I'm never invited to my dad had 5 children, my mother had 3. And I love my brother and sister very much from his next marriage. I mean, anyway, but I'm never invited anymore. I guess I'm too much of an uncle. I was always invited when Dad was around. And then, so it's just then my brother and sister from my dad's first marriage. And I don't see my brother all that much. He's up in the North Country. And my sister is extremely hardworking, smartest person I know. I was blessed, Jennifer, in my opinion, that I was born into a family of smart, honest people. And my sister disagrees with me because she thinks my mother wasn't always truthful. But my mother was very young when she had children, so it's hard to judge it, you know. She did a lot of things the right way. It's just hard. I don't know. I don't know how to. I can't judge any other people. Just myself. But yeah, what happened to me over the last now almost 5 years, I never expected from all sides, and it's left me quite. Well, it's left me alone. It's left me alone. But I got my dog, and I'm not complaining. It's pretty late in life to learn lessons, but I've learned some, and I'm not prepared because of being cheated and having people frankly steal from me. I had to learn a lot of lessons, but anyway, all we have is today, and gotta live today. I hear you, William. Yeah, I'll get to it. You think I'm wrong about Burden? Yeah, I don't know what to say. My interactions with him have always been positive, but I don't know what's going on. This lawsuit, Jennifer, this is crap. Now, they may have something else against him, but this is so tortured. This is a tortured reading of what he calls facts. Most of it's opinion. I think a judge is going to throw this out and tell him that if he ever puts anything like this in front of her court, she's going to throw him into prison. And Barbara, you're very kind. You're very kind, Barbara. I don't feel any of that, but when I hear it, I appreciate it, and that means I'm doing something right. Yeah, I got to go walk Lucky Boy. Hey, Lazy. Hey, Clay Schofield. Yay! Yay! You transferred your shares. Yay! Yay! Dun, 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 dun. Happy days are here again. Happy days are here again. I hesitate because they're on this, this weird calendar. I don't expect them to. I don't. I think it's going to be next quarter. But it could happen, but I don't expect them to. China was shut down until a year ago. And then there were some costs and adjustments, I think. I don't know what to, I'm not an accountant. I don't know what to call them. But so, their 24 year, which is our 23 year, basically, wasn't as bang up as they wanted to be, but there were some real positives in it. They were moving from low margin to high margin. And they're going to announce July 12th their first quarter of 2025. But then, because I think their quarter, it's so confusing. I think their quarter ends in February. But anyway, then we'll be into their second quarter. So what I expect to see in the data is maybe some predictability in what's coming. But my opinion, Hidden Valley Pickleball, their second quarter, our third quarter is when you'll see positive cash flow or positive earnings. How confident are you that we win and remove GTI? If I were to do it, I wouldn't remove. I'd sit down and ask, look, this is what I didn't have anything to do with the lawsuit. I'm not a lawyer, but this is what the attorneys found. These are the steps we want you to take. But let's sit down and make it fair for everybody. That's how I would do it, because I think a lawsuit will mean, Pharaoh, look, a lawsuit, we can get some good feeling. That's great. But you're talking years. I would rather nobody has those years, least of all Reichman. So I'd rather sit down and say, let's give a little here, take a little there. That's your best deal. All right, let's go to dinner. I'm going to sleep on it. We'll meet tomorrow after breakfast, and let's knock it out. That's how I would do it. I'd let my subconscious think about it overnight, but I would just make a deal. And I think I'm pretty confident that will happen. I'm pretty confident. That's my little slogan. I don't know if we can do it, but 9 months, $9, I think you can do it. You got to reduce the number of shares from the get-go. You must absolutely have people that are willing to work together, not jealousy, but you must not do a deal with the criminals. Absolutely not do a deal. And if that means leaving the stock as is, not uplisting, not if you have to do a merger and the merger candidate says, I want a reverse split, you say no. No reverse splits. None. And the other thing is you got to get to cash flow. Cash flow. Cash flow. Pay your bills. Pay your bills. Never need to go to the pimp again. Never show up at the pimp strung out ever again. Ever again. And I think we can, if I were there, I would try for $9 in 9 months. That's what I would try for. Get everybody working in the same direction. There's a lot of smart people, a lot of great companies to bring in, and I think we could get to $9 in 9 months. I don't know how many deals he's broken up because I wasn't part of those deals, but I know how many deals were tried, and I give him credit. He did try to get some deals across, but it wasn't always his fault. It was FINRA, it was SEC. I don't know the answer, and I guess I won't. I don't really want to speculate because I don't think it helps anybody. What I want to make is GTII work for all constituencies, as they say in the UK, but for everybody, and not help the shorts one single little bit. I'm willing to, I'm talking about myself. I'm willing to let bygones to be bygones with the board and the, but not with the shorts, not with the shorts. No settlement with the shorts. No, even somebody that comes in and pretends not to be the shorts. No derivatives. If financing can't be done, well, then I'd rather have the company lay fallow while you worked on financing. But financing is hard to raise, but not if you have the right team, the right ideas, and I think we can do it. Well, I don't know, going down that list, I'm not sure it was the CEO's fault with the law firm, but maybe you know something else. I would agree on the other two that that's a very likely reason. Anyway, all right. I think it's 6:42. If there's questions, we can go. I don't know if I want to rehash this. I did some videos. But I do encourage people to listen to Junk Savvy's calls. I will restate that I think this is a crap complaint. And I think it'll be dismissed. If it's not dismissed, it won't. Berta will go for discovery. They won't let it. So my guess is they've thrown the kitchen sink at him, but they want to try to get that $1.5 million away. But their remedies here, their prayer for relief is so severe. I wonder if it's the same SEC. When the SEC settles with the Kramers, they let Kurt Kramer off. Oh, we agree he didn't do anything wrong, and he'll cease and desist. And then he goes in the SEC's. I read it to you. It's over there somewhere. In the last 3 years, not the last 5 years, but in 3 of those 5 years, he did 350 more of these toxic notes, 350 of them, Kurt Kramer. But the SEC lets him go out because Kurt Kramer is a crook. But Jennifer, someday, I mean, I don't know how to do it, but someday I'll hear your point of view on it, because as Patrick Burns says, it's a river of money, and you don't know who gets sucked into it. You really don't. All right. Anything else I wanted to tell you? I've been on. I want to go walk my dog. I don't think I'll come on later. This thing is just unbelievable. They're blaming Palacaris for writing Berta. He wrote, "We're happy to take 100 to 200 million in the offering at a 20% premium to the market and a minimum of $7." But that didn't work, I guess. Then on the 18th, Berta said, "We have 2 days to take advantage of the squeeze." It wasn't much of a squeeze. George said, "Go ahead and do it at 575, 5 million shares. Fill her up." What's wrong with that? There's 2 CEOs trying to get an offering. Their companies need capital. The fact that the markets are corrupt is on the SEC, not on the CEOs. Anyway, it's repetitive. It's boring. This lawsuit has ill intent. But anyway, let's leave it alone. Let me see if there was anything else. All right, nothing else. So I'm going to wish everybody good night. Thanks for joining in a little bit. And don't worry, we'll get through this. There'll be some better days. And I'm going to listen to Trump Thursday night. I think that'll be fun. But I'm really going to pull for Djokovic to play some tennis. And I don't know what else. I'm sort of waiting on Logic to have an announcement, but I don't know if I'm just a fool on the hill. And I'll update. I want to go through the agreed settlement they had or something. It's over there, and I'll go over that with you next time. Other than that, I don't know what else to tell you. So we'll say good night. Pray for Jenny L. She's courageous, but I still think she needs our prayers. Pray for anybody here in our community who lost people to this horrible stress, and pray for a breakthrough from all the hardworking people and new people. And I guess I'll leave it there. So good night.